Hi, everyone, and welcome to our South Asian Heritage Month podcast. Today, we're going to be hearing from Vivek, and he's going to be telling us stories about his heritage and where he's from. Hi, Vivek.
Hi, Somaya. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you for talking to us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Of course. So, first and foremost, I'm a human in my mid 30s, married to a lovely woman from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and we lived in Cologne, Germany. I'm originally from India, Kolkata, to be specific, and I was brought up across a couple of different cities in India. Um, I After that, how did I ended up in Computacenter? Probably a short line on that. Um, I spent about 9 years in Bangalore doing my bachelor's and working for 5 years, before which I decided to move to Germany for my master's, and then after that, I've been now working in computer centers for almost 10 years. Yeah. Um, with with regards to my heritage. Um, I I am from India, from the eastern part of India, and in my head, what heritage means to me is kind of, I try to split it into two parts. The one part which is more tangible, what you can see, what you can touch and smell. So, for example, all the different festivals that we grew up enjoying, loving, and participating in. For example, Durga Puja. That's a big festival from our side. Um, and then on the
Vivek, can you tell us a little bit about that festival? Because I don't think I've ever heard of it.
course, with great pride. So, um, Durga Puja. So Durga goddess is one of our, let's say, most favorite goddess. She has 10 hands, and what we are actually celebrating over a period of 10 days is, we believe that Durga goddess is, her mother's home is the earth, and she's married to god Shiva, who lives in the heaven. So rest of the year she spends in her, let's say, paternal home with Lord Shiva. And then she comes down to the earth for these 10 days to her mother's home, and we celebrate these 10 days when she's visiting us. She depicts how goddess Durga came into being is, the mythological story goes like, there were some times when there were a lot of demons troubling Mother Earth. So different gods put different powers together, and that led to the rise of, or the birth of goddess Durga. So she has 10 hands, and she rides on a lion, and she and she has some very famous kids. So if you have heard of Lakshmi, that's the goddess Durga's kid. And then there's Saraswati. Then there's Ganesha, I think a well-known kid of goddess Durga, and Kartik. And they all come down during these 10 days, and it's absolutely crazy in the state of West Bengal during this time. Um, uh, there are probably, I mean, I have to probably show you pictures to actually really bring it to
I would
life.
love to see some. But
uh,
how do you celebrate?
yeah. So I mean, while technically it is 10 days, we don't get as many holidays in India. So we have to celebrate those 5 days. And what we do is that it's a very social festival. So um, every neighborhood, we build um, an idol of goddess Durga. So in some cases it's a 6 feet idol. In some cases it can go up to 3 floors high as the idol.
Wow.
Yeah, and these idols are hosted in huge pandals. These pandals are, sometimes in the shape of a pyramid, sometimes in the shape of Taj Mahal. These are all temporary constructions made of different. Yeah, that's the interesting part, that these are temporary. They are made for a month and then they are dismantled. This and what we do is, there are priests who chant some um, mantras. And my memories of that are as kid. So we would play around. So all my friends and family from all across the world will come down to Calcutta in this period of time. So it's the way of meeting everybody. It's a way of eating together. That's a big part of the of our culture and heritage. And then it is all about, we have some smaller customs, like we all light up 108 little diyas or little lamps. And then my favorite one is when all of this is done, we have to bid goodbye to Goddess Durga. Then we put her in a truck, or there's a huge procession that happens from where my neighborhood is all the way to Ganges, to the river Ganga, where we take her and then we kind of immerse her in the river as a means of, that's almost like a portal to heaven. So, but that whole thing, we cheer, we dance, people who can dance, and we sing. So it's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds absolutely amazing. And as you were just describing it there, I thought how wonderful. It's such a massive social event where you're saying family come from all over the world to be together to celebrate this day. And I think I've actually seen images of that procession. And I think that's one of the things that I definitely know. And now that you're describing, I'm like, I've seen that. I've definitely seen that procession and it looks amazing. But what I would love to know is, you were raised in India and you went over to Germany as an adult, so not as a child. So you have all those beautiful memories, even as an adult, as a teenager. Was it very difficult to move over to Germany where there wasn't such a big social gathering? There wasn't the extended family. Culturally, it's very, very different. Language barriers. How did you cope?
A very good question. So I think I was a bit lucky in two regards. One, I had stayed away from my family for a period of 9 years in Bangalore, so that I was kind of used to staying by myself, so that helped a little bit. Although the cooking part was always difficult. Um, but when I moved to Germany, I moved into a university to study. So, uh, luckily, what that meant for me is that I was in a class of about 60 odd students coming from 25 different countries. So it was and we all lived in the student quarters. So it was a bit of a soft landing into Germany for me. So, it gave me the opportunity to learn about the German culture without being, not having anybody else I knew. So all these students, we were kind of our own family for a period of a year. And after that, when I joined work in Computacenter, yeah, that was a bit hard at the beginning because the 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 excitement of being with so many students together suddenly comes to an end, and you are by yourself living in an apartment, and uh, in a small town. I did feel a bit of loneliness because you need time to build up this social
Absolutely,
circle.
yeah.
What did help me quite a bit was, I think, some of my colleagues were really kind. So they took me under their arm, they took me to their places, um, met their families, engaged me in their own festivals, or what you can call Cologne Carnival. So I was invited to the Cologne Carnival by one of my really kind colleagues. Then they helped me move. They even gifted me a bike so I could easily travel to work from this small town. So that was it's a big part of me, and for which I'm forever in gratitude. And the second thing that kept me um, uh, engaged was my German courses. So there also I met other people from other parts, and we all spoke badly the German, but I think that was the common thread, and that's what brings you together. And lastly, if I were to say, I mean, it was after maybe a few months of being in Germany. Um, in the city of Cologne. Although I didn't live in the city of Cologne, it was relatively close by. So I used to go there for my German courses, and there was this Facebook group started by an Italian guy and some of his friends. It was called Enjoy Köln. It was about international and German people just who are staying by themselves in Cologne, getting together to to decide to if somebody wants to go for a movie, they will type in Facebook, we are planning to go for a movie. If you would like to join in, or picnics. And as connections would go, that's how I met my wife. So
That's amazing. So it was an online, social gathering of people who, maybe were here on their own or like yourself had come over for work and don't really have much friends or family or connections. And that's how you met your wife. That's absolutely amazing. How long
yeah,
have you been married?
I've been married for, gosh, I have to count quickly, almost 5.5 years now. Uh,
Amazing. And
and
she's from Bosnia Herzegovina, correct?
yes, she's from Bosnia Herzegovina. She also came to Germany to study. Um, and she was also part of this group, and we met each other in a picnic that was organized through this online group.
That's so wonderful to hear. But it's really interesting because I'm seeing you, Vivek with a Indian heritage, your wife from Bosnia Herzegovina, your family are all back in India, you both live in Germany. How are you able to stay connected to your South Asian heritage?
Yeah, I think it, it is. I will be very honest. I think it is. It is. It takes effort. I think if you are in the um, if you're in the middle of the epicenter of where things are happening, then probably you don't realize, and you're already assimilated in it. But when you're outside, I think that's when you probably start missing some of the things which I might have taken for granted when I was there. um, so I think in my head, I would categorize these into three parts. The first part is, as you said, with regards to festivals or with regards to all my cousins getting married year after year, and I'm missing all of these things. It's a bit hard. I mean, those things I can't be there physically. I try to be, thanks to technology, at least be virtually available in some of these events, or I miss the food quite a bit, especially the sweets. We are very well known for our sweet tooth in in India, Bengal, and yeah, and I do miss, debating or critiquing Bollywood themes with my friends over a cup of tea or dinner in my mother tongue. So, unfortunately, these are things I do miss, and it's hard to kind of kind of make up for it. And apart from those 2 weeks that I spend in India, and I take a list with me to my mom and say, okay, mom, I want to eat all of these things in these 2 weeks. And so please stay prepared. So that's how I try to make up some of the food things. Um, with regards to other things like language or, also maybe a bit of food. Um, I speak regularly. Every Sunday is our Skype day. So that's the day I spend about 2 hours chatting with my parents, with my brother. Sometimes the extended family joins in, which is tricky because we have a big extended family. But thanks to technology, at least we are able to, have a discussion, understand what's happening in India. If I'm honest, I think the first time I felt a bit helpless about not being able to travel was during COVID, when I knew that they were there by themselves, we were here by ourselves, and it was only technology that kind of kept us together for a period of 2+ years. Um, but yeah, you have to make that effort. We plan times with my cousins. We can't wedding crash right now physically, but we do that virtually a lot of times. In a group WhatsApp call. Those things happen, um, and also I think there are. Luckily some associations in Cologne, being a big city. Now I live in Cologne, it's a big city. There are associations that actually celebrate Durga Puja, for example. So they
So you're able to keep that connection with your heritage even though you're living away
to an
from
extent,
family.
yes.
Yeah, to an extent. How important is that for you to be able to keep that connection?
I think it is vital because it's a part of me. I think without that, um, I, I don't know who I will be, because I think that is part of my identity. And just like there are these more tangible parts of my heritage, I think the intangible parts, which I remember from, again, growing up, this selflessness of my parents or my family, so always putting maybe me and my brother's needs before theirs, the very high principles that we had to always live up to, and the general kindness, openness, uh, I think inclusivity. So some of these things are. Uh, it just makes up who I am, and while I can't take part in a festival, these are things that are so ingrained. I think it is quite hard to take it to change it, even if I wanted to. I think I find it quite hard. So
No,
yeah.
absolutely. And I think it's great that we have um, an organization such as Computacenter where we are able to celebrate South Asian heritage so that we can all come together from different parts of the world. And it's so beautiful that I'm able to sit here in London talking to you over there in Germany. But yet we both have that connection. And um, I know you've spoken to me before about the connections that you have with your South Asian heritage colleagues at Computacenter. Has that been quite vital for you as well?
Absolutely. I think um, in the later part of my stint in Computacenter, I got more in contact with the group, so the colleagues, and as part of that, I learned more about my South Asian colleagues, and I think it's amazing that it is, how do I say, it is so diverse, and I get an opportunity to speak with them, and the connections are so easier to make. A simple smile, or just are you from India, or are you from Pakistan, that makes and that's it. That's all you need to build that connection. It's as if we were all we have known each other for forever, and I think that's the beauty, I think, sometimes of knowing the colleagues, um, and I do read through some of the stories that others share and while I'm a bit shy, so I don't necessarily always comment, but it does touch me, and I can relate to a lot of them, and that in itself gives, you feel that you are definitely not alone. Not that I felt that, okay, I was just by myself, but even you feel that, okay, you're not alone from where you come from, that your heritage, your culture is represented in the group, and we have great initiatives like what you are doing to bring it more closer, and getting the time for it. So I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
absolutely. I agree with you 100%. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you and hearing about your journey from back home in India to Germany and being at Computacenter. Do you have any words of wisdom to leave us with? Maybe, if someone who's working at Computacenter right now and they've just come over from a different country, or they're alone, um, working in a different part of the world, what piece of advice would you give them?
That's a deep one.
I didn't mean for it to be too deep, I promise.
And, I think I would definitely use I will maybe copy Liverpool's anthem of "You Never Walk Alone." So there's a you are not alone. There's a lot of people out there who love you, who take care for you. So while you might be physically feeling a little bit lonely, um, I think overall you are there's a lot of people with you. So take it easy, and I think if I had to add a little bit to that wisdom, that will be that, um, you know, when I came to Germany, and in over the period over a few years, I did feel that I have lost a bit of connection back to my Indian heritage. But what I did gain is the German culture and the Bosnian culture that I kind of added to my little bit of a deficit. So if you are somewhere, integrate, get to know that culture as well, and you will be surprised at a foundation level, how human or where what humanity connects all of us, right? So I think um, enjoy, yeah, explore.
Thank you so much. Those were very, very wise words, and I think we can all take something away from that as well. Vivek, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks a lot, Samaya. I really appreciate it.